The Galactic Council chambers had never witnessed such silence. Ambassador Decaran of the Zephyrian Collective stared at the severed head of security officer, Velinara, as it rolled to a stop at the base of the council podium. Her four eyes still wide with the shock of her final moments. Captain Marcus Chena stood motionless at the chamber's entrance, his dark human eyes reflecting none of the fear that every other species in the room was desperately trying to suppress. Behind him, 3 more humans waited: Lieutenant Sarah Park, Sergeant Diego Martinez, and Dr. Elena Volkov, their faces carved from stone, their silence more terrifying than any roar. This ... Council Prime Yextol's voice trembled through his translator implant. This is an act of war, human. Marcus took a single step forward. The sound of his boot on the polished floor echoed like thunder in the vast chamber. No, Prime Yextol. This is justice. The assembled delegates, representatives from 47 different species across 12 star systems, shifted nervously in their varied seating arrangements. The humans had been members of the galactic community for barely 3 standard cycles, yet their reputation as Deathworlders had already spread like wildfire through diplomatic channels. Security Officer Velinara was performing her duties according to galactic maritime law. Ambassador Decaran interjected, his blue-scaled skin rippling with indignation. The human child was found in the restricted area of Station Kepler-7. The human child, Dr. Volkov spoke for the first time, her voice clinical and cold, was 8 years old. Her name was Emma Rodriguez. She was looking for her pet hamster that had escaped from their family's quarters. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Marcus continued, his voice never rising above conversational level. Officer, Velinara struck a child. She used a neural disruptor on an 8-year-old girl whose only crime was caring about a frightened animal. The child was trespassing. The child, Sergeant Martinez interrupted, his scarred face a mask of control. Fury died from neural hemorrhaging 6 hours later. Her last words were asking for her mama. Council Prime Yextol's tentacles writhed anxiously. The humans had requested this emergency session, but no one had expected them to arrive with evidence of their retaliation already complete. The severed head of Velinara served as a stark reminder that humans didn't just file complaints, they filed graves. You cannot simply execute our citizens without trial. Ambassador Decaran's voice reached a higher pitch. There are protocols, procedures. Where were your protocols when Emma was dying? Lieutenant Park asked quietly. Where were your procedures when her parents begged for medical assistance and were told that human physiology wasn't covered under emergency medical statutes? The silence stretched like a taut wire. Every delegate in the chamber understood the implications. Humans had been patient, almost docile, during their integration into galactic society. They had accepted second-class citizenship, restricted access to certain stations, limited representation in council matters. They had endured it all with what other species had mistaken for weakness. They had been wrong. Dr. Volkov stepped forward and placed a datapad on the council podium. Next, to Velinara's head. That contains the complete medical records of Emma Rodriguez, the security footage of the incident, and Officer Velinara's personal logs where she refers to human children as feral animals that need discipline. Marcus addressed the chamber. Directly now, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast space. We didn't come here to start a war. We came here to end one. A war that began the moment you decided human lives were worth less than your regulations. A war that escalated when you chose to look the other way while one of your officers murdered a child. The Galactic Council had dealt with many species over the millennia. They had seen conquerors and diplomats, traitors and scholars. But they had never encountered anything like humanity, a species that could shift from patient negotiation to absolute violence in the span of a heartbeat. Officer Velinara was tried, Captain Chun continued, by a jury of 4 humans who witnessed her actions. She was found guilty of murder. The sentence was carried out immediately. Ambassador Decaran's scales had turned pale blue, a sign of deep distress among his species. You cannot impose your justice on our citizens. Then impose your own, Doctor. Volkov replied. Show us that galactic maritime law applies equally to all species. Show us that the death of a human child matters as much as the death of a Zephyrian hatchling. The challenge hung in the air like smoke. Every delegate understood the test being presented. The humans weren't asking for revenge, they were demanding equality. They were forcing the Council to choose between their prejudices and their principles. Council. Prime Yexto's multiple eyes fixed on the severed head, then on the 4 humans who had walked into the heart of galactic power without fear or hesitation. These Deathworlders had spent 3 cycles learning their customs, following their rules, respecting their authority. In return, they had watched their child die while bureaucrats debated jurisdiction. The Council will review? No. Marcus's? Single word cut through the Prime's statement like a blade. The Council will decide. Today. Here. Now. He gestured to his companions. We are the only 4 humans currently in this system. Officer Velinara had 600 armed colleagues on Station Kepler-7. She had military backup, legal protection, and the full authority of the Galactic Council behind her. The implications sank in slowly. 4 humans. 4 humans had infiltrated a heavily guarded station, executed a protected officer, and walked into the council chambers to present their case. Emma Rodriguez was 1 child, Sergeant Martinez added, his voice barely above a whisper. Earth has 8 billion more, each one protected by parents who love them, each one mourned by families who remember them, each one worth dying for. The message was clear. The humans weren't making threats, they were stating facts. The death of Emma Rodriguez had revealed the true nature of humanity. They were not the compliant junior species that the Council had welcomed into their community. They were something far more dangerous, parents who had lost a child. Council Prime Yexto stared at the 4 humans, understanding finally dawning in his ancient eyes. The Deathworlders had not come seeking war. They had come to prevent one. The head at his feet was not a declaration of hostility, it was a promise of consequences. The Council, he said slowly, will convene an emergency session to review galactic maritime law as it applies to all sentient species, with particular attention to the protection of juveniles. Captain Marcus Cheen nodded once. Thank you, Prime. Yexto, we'll wait. As the 4 humans turned to leave, every delegate in the chamber understood that the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. The Deathworlders had spoken, and their message was written in blood and justice combined. Emma Rodriguez would not be forgotten, and her death would ensure that no other child human or otherwise would die alone while bureaucrats debated their worth.